Hi everyone, welcome back to TechQuest Academy, where we make programming simple and fun. I'm John, and in today's Python crash course, we are diving into numbers. By the end of this lesson, you'll know exactly how Python handles numbers and how you can use them in your project. Let's get started. In Python, numbers are one of the most commonly used data types. Python makes it super easy to work with numbers. Whether you're calculating, measuring, or just counting things, there are three main types of numbers in Python. Integers, which are whole numbers like 1, -5, and 42. Floats, decimal numbers like 3.14 and so on. Complex numbers, which are numbers with real and imaginary part, like 3 plus 4j. The 3 is the real part and 4j is the imaginary part. The type function is a tool that tells us the type of a variable in Python. As you can see in the code on the screen, it can differentiate these types. It can differentiate from integer, float, and complex. As you can see, Python will tell us the exact type of each number, which is easy. Now let's look at how you can work with integers and floats in Python. Python supports all basic arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, which work just like basic math you already know. Check out the code example on your screen. You can see we have x as 15 and y as 4. You can add it to become 19, subtract it to become 11, and multiply it to become 60, as well as divide it to become 3.75. Python also gives us some handy operations for more complex calculations, like finding the remainder using the modulus sign, which is the percentage sign, and raising numbers to the power using 2 asterisks. Watch how these work in code. You can see if we print x modulus y, we get a 3. This is because 15 divided by 4, that is 12, which is whole, and a remainder of 3. That remainder is the modulus. If we are to print the exponential of x and y, we can see that we get a big number, which is 50,625, because 15 power 4 means it's 15 times 15 times 15 times 15, or 15 multiplied to itself 4 times. So now let us look at the role of floats. Floats are super useful when you need precision. Think of them like a ruler that measures down to the millimeters, perfect for working with money or detailed measurements. As you can see in the example, Python handles floats with precision. You can see the price can be 19.99, it can be any currency, let's use dollars, and the quantity might be 3. So the total cost, if we multiply the price with the quantity, you can see we get a precise price, which is going to be 59.97 without losing any point. So now you can see how it keeps the decimal places intact, which is great for financial calculations. Let us now look at complex numbers. Complex numbers might not be something you use every day, but these are essential in areas like engineering and scientific computation. A complex number consists of a real part and an imaginary part, like 3 plus 4j, where 3 is the real part and 4j is the imaginary part. Let us look at some examples. We have our z, which is equal to 3 plus 4j. Remember, 3 is the real part and 4j is the imaginary part. If we are to print the real part, we just need to do z.real. Real is the property of that complex number. And image, which is also another property of that complex number, will print out the imaginary value. Python even supports arithmetic with complex numbers. Check out this. If we have now a z1 and a z2, we can easily add them. And this is going to become 3 minus 1j. If we are to add the two complex numbers, we can even multiply them. So we can do different operations on complex numbers as well, even though it is not something that you will use in everyday life in your Python course. Now let us look at some properties and methods of numbers. Before we wrap up, let's quickly look at some useful properties and methods associated with numbers in Python. This can make work with numbers even more efficient and fun. As you can see in the code example, Python provides powerful built-in functions like apps, which will print out the absolute of the value you just provided in. For those who do not know, absolute means a positive to that number. So if we have, for example, -7, the output should be 7. If we have a positive number already, the absolute of that positive number will still be that positive number. We can also use round to round off numbers. As you can see, if we print round 3.14 and we are rounding off to the nearest second number, we'll have to get an input which is 3.14. The reason why we have 3.14, we are rounding from the second decimal number, which is going to start from 1, that is the first decimal number, and 4 is the second decimal number. Therefore, this means that if a third number that comes after the second number, it is below 5, we just need to add 0 to that second number. If it is above 5, we will need to add now 1 to that number. That is why 3.14159, it is going to become 3.14. If it was something like 3.14659, then this means we would have got 3.15. Because of the 6 that is on the third value, it would have contributed a 1 to the second decimal number we are rounding off from. Python also provides method to convert numbers between different types. For example, you can turn a float into an integer or vice versa. This is called casting. As you can see, we have number 7.8. If you want to convert it into an integer, then this is going to be 7. Remember, num was a float. 7.8 is a float. Floats contain decimal numbers, but integers are whole numbers. Therefore, 7.8 will be converted to 7. You can notice that the decimal number did not contribute anything to the whole number. This is different from rounding off. When you just do int number, it just gets the whole number inconsiderate of whatever the decimal number was. So if you want to also convert into float, if you have a whole number, you will just add a decimal number which is 0. Remember, 5.0 is a float, whereas 5 is an integer. Understanding these properties and methods will give you more control over how you work with numbers in Python. Alright, let's recap what we've learned. Python has 3 types of numbers: integers, floats, and complex numbers. And they're used differently and they can work with different operations. You can perform arithmetic operations easily like addition, subtraction, and more. Floats are precise and great for decimal, while complex numbers are not normally used in certain fields, but you can as well use them in other specialized fields like engineering. That's it for Python numbers. Let's meet next time looking into Python strings. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to TechQuest Academy for more lessons. And as always, happy coding. See you in the next video.